How's it going? So I wanted to talk to you guys about okay, this is really cool. So it's about patience, but I've really been putting a lot of effort into these videos. Like I work my, 8 to 10 hour day and then I still make a video and it's construction, so it's pretty hard stuff. But um it doesn't matter what time it is, I make the video. And it's because I'm honored to talk about God. But I was like, man, it just seems like it's going slow, God. Like, what's going on? Am I doing it right? And then God was like, you think that's a reward, but sometimes when you don't see the reward or don't see the progress where you are now, I think it was like he's talking about like on earth, right? If you don't see the fruits of your labor now, you'll see it in heaven because it's going to have your efforts are growing it. Let's say your efforts of watering a plant is growing a tree in heaven, right? That's kind of like a metaphor I want to use for that. So like when like don't go hopeless on it, on that thing that you're like striving for, on that thing that you're like really putting effort into and really watering to let that plant grow. It's for you to do that. But also there's something super special in like this thing I just learned, and I want to share it with you guys. That sometimes when we share when we put a great deal of effort into something, it's not necessarily that you'll see the fruits of that effort in this life, but rather, even if it's the small things, like even if it's working out and you don't see the effort, don't you think God will repay that effort in heaven because you took care of the body he's given you? Like, let's think about this. Like, let's totally think about this. Everything is consequential in this life, and it matters. um like every action you do, it really matters because it kind of, you are, my mom and dad always told me, you are sometimes you're the only Bible someone will ever read. And it's really sad because it's like, dang it, I wish they actually read the real Bible because sometimes I'm flawed, right? But the thing is when you do something, that's why it says do everything as unto the Lord, I think, is because truthfully, when you do something and it's outshining everyone else, and then you know, and God's happy with that, of course, but also when someone else is gonna ask, why do you work so hard? This is a 15 hour, this is $15 an hour job, $15 an hour job. What's the deal? Why are you working so hard on this, right? And then you can share the gospel. You can go, hey, look, well, the thing is, it says in the Bible, do everything as unto the Lord. I'm not doing this for the corporation, but rather for the Lord, and this is my ministry. And like, that's kind of how I live when I work where I work, which is I do construction at old folks' homes. But the thing is there's other things there that I can do that bless old folks, and I love it, and it's a blessing to me. But it also helps them out with enjoying their life, because something a lot of people don't know about old folks is they're depressed usually. A lot of times they're on depressed, like antidepressant pills, anti-anxiety pills, and it's really sad because they're about to go into the best section of their life, which is afterlife. But I just want to share that sometimes the fruits of your labor will not present themselves on earth, but rather they will be held in heaven as a prize for you. And those are the riches we want to store up. Not excuse me. Like, I'm really excited about this YouTube channel. I think it's going to bless so many people, and I think it's going to bring so many people to God. I really have faith in that. But the fact of the matter is, it's not really for me. Although, like, I might benefit. Truthfully, I might. I'm not going to say that I won't. But it's of benefit to God more so. So patience. Let's break down patience. In Romans 12:12, it says, rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. So that's kind of another thing. If you're patient in tribulation, what do you think you're gonna like? You're gonna get out of that tribulation with like more, like Job. Job was one of the situations where like everything he had doubled essentially, and like God gave him everything the devil stole. But even the devil is a tool. I feel like even the devil is a tool from God, because essentially, like, God will use the devil to test people, like Job, right? He'll be like, all right, free range chicken, you go ahead, but you don't touch him. He's mine, but you don't touch him, but you can like touch everyone around him, whatever. You can take everyone, and then I'll just like have them at heaven, whatever, cool, whatever. But the thing is, even that was allowed. Actually, God said, "Hey Satan, where have you been?" And Satan said, I've been roaming around the earth." And then God was like that's not saying I've been roaming around the earth looking to torment people. It's saying I've just been roaming around the earth. Very quiet, very casual, very demure. But the thing is God was like, "Have you tested my buddy Job? He's pretty wild. He's pretty patient. He's pretty cool. He's pretty chillax." But the fact of the matter is, that's what I think about. Okay, so that is a situation when I feel like God totally blessed and totally repaired and everything in Job's life. He got what he got back in double, I think. Anywho, okay. Okay, and then Galatians 6:9, it says, "And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up." Okay, who's to say that season is on earth, right? Who's to say? Who's to say that season is not is who's to say that season is not in heaven, right? It's not our timing when we'll get our prize. And isn't it better to get our prize up in heaven versus down here? Like, I know it describes down here where, you know, moths eat the things and all the, like where everything breaks down. It's the truth. Everything does break down through time. But truthfully, how much more impressive, how much more lovely, how much more awesome will it be to get the things you should have earned down here up in heaven? And we can't decide what God's going to bless us with in our life down here, but rather we can decide what we want to do for God and what riches we want to store up in heaven, because I truly think you kind of can hope for that. That's something I feel like God wants us to look look out for, like be excited about, really having a great deal of effort to trying to grow those riches, because I think the Lord wants that. But anyway, okay. Okay, okay. Romans 8:25, it says, "If we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience." So like, okay, this is really cool. If we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it in patience. That is, in my opinion, what God's telling me right off the bat from that is it's telling us how to wait for things. Not wait for like, man, I've been waiting forever. Why? God, can't you just do something? It's like, no. You aren't in the right place for me to do something. I know you're gonna spoil it. You know what I mean? It's like, let's say you give candy to a kid. Here is your dinner. Here is your candy. Do the responsible thing. And this kid is like, let's say a 9-year-old, 8-year-old, like, I can have that, and then I can have that. You can have whatever you feel is right. They're gonna 9 times out of 10 go for that one, unless they've already had a tummy ache that day. So like literally, think about it like that. Why would God give you the thing you've been wanting for all this time if He knows you're gonna spoil it? It's not in your timing, it's rather in His timing. You got to be really patient for it, because it's such a lovely thing when you get the thing that God had secured and waiting for you all this time, and He knew it'd be the right time for you, the right time for, and it could be a person I'm talking about, but like right time for them, right time for you, but it could be something else like a job. Right time for you because you have the qualifications, you have the skills, you've had the bad bosses that would temper you to prepare you for the thing that you've been wanting to do, right? So like, sorry, I just had pasta, so like I got like tons of crap in my throat anyway. So, but then this is